Today we're going to cut down to brass tacks and talk about the grind. And no, I'm not talking about that app that's on your phone. I'm talking about the most common mechanic among video games. It often involves repeating the same activities, killing the same enemies, running the same dungeon, gathering the same materials over and over to gain experience, loot, currency, or power. Some people may call that boring filler. However, players sink hundreds, or if not thousands of hours into it willingly. So the question for this video is simple. Why does it work? We're going to explore that today, and the answer sits a little bit in an in-between section between motivation, reward systems, identity, and I like this topic, control. I think really at its core, grinding offers certainty. You know that if you kill 10 more enemies, your bar will move forward. It's as simple as that. If you run the dungeon 5 more times, something valuable will eventually drop. There's no ambiguity about whether your effort matters. It does. The game shows you that immediately. Psychologically, this taps into competence. Grinding is competence made visible. Progress bars fill, numbers go up, levels ding. You're measurably better than you were 5 minutes ago. In real life, effort and reward are often disconnected. Grinding removes that frustration. Effort reliably equals progress, and that reliability is deeply satisfying. While progress itself is predictable, rewards often aren't. Loot drops, rare items, critical hits, or bonus outcomes usually follow a variable ratio reward schedule. This doesn't mean that players are tricked into grinding, but it does explain why it feels compelling. Variable rewards trigger dopamine more effectively than fixed ones because the brain is constantly anticipating the next payoff. You might not get the rare drop this run, but maybe you'll get it the next one. Importantly, most good grinding systems pair guaranteed progress, that is XP, currency, whatever that be, with uncertain bonuses, so like rare loot or a rare mob spawn, whatever that might be. This combination prevents frustration while sustaining excitement. Many people grind when they're tired, stressed, or mentally overloaded, and I think that's not accidental. Grinding often requires low decision making. Once you know the optimal route, rotation, or loop, you can execute it almost automatically. This places the player into a similar light flow or productive autopilot state. And this process, I think, is a little bit restorative. The brain gets to stay active without being taxed by constant choices. It's engaging enough to prevent boredom, but simple enough to avoid you being stressed out. This is why grinding pairs so well with podcasts, music, conversation, socializing, which is a lot of what old school MMOs were about. The game becomes a structured background task that still feels meaningful to achieve. Grinding also breaks long-term goals into bite-sized objectives. Reach level 60 feels a little bit far off into the distance. Finish one more run feels more doable. The brain is much better at committing to short-term, clear goals than distant, really big ones. Each completed loop delivers a tiny hit of accomplishment, reinforcing the behavior and making the next loop easier to start. This also explains why stopping mid-grind can feel uncomfortable. You often are just one loop away from the next milestone. The cost of continuing feels smaller than the cost of stopping. There's also a well-documented psychological phenomenon called the effort justification effect. People value things more when they've worked hard for them. Grinding leverages this directly. An item earned after 50 runs feels more meaningful than one handed out for free, even if its in-game power is the same. The time invested becomes part of the item's identity and part of yours as a player. This also strengthens emotional attachment to character and accounts. You didn't just play them, you built them piece by piece through sustained effort. And let's be honest, grinding isn't always mindless. Over time, repetition breeds mastery. You optimize routes, you refine the rotations that you're doing, you improve your efficiency, you learn subtle mechanics that you weren't aware of before. The task stays the same, but your execution of that task improves. This creates a feedback loop. The activity feels easier, not because it's trivial, because it doesn't matter anymore, but because you have gotten better, and that feels good. That reinforces a sense of growth that goes beyond just the raw stats of the game. Players often enjoy noticing how something that once felt difficult becomes effortless. Grinding makes that transformation visible. Now, you know how much I like this topic, but grinding offers a strong sense of agency. You choose when to grind, how long to do it for, what goal you're working towards, etc. The rules are clear because you made them. The system is fair, or at least it seems to be relatively fair. In contrast to many real world systems, job, institutions, social dynamics, I'm not going to get into it, it's going to give you a headache. Games rarely move the goalpost without explaining why. When you grind, you're operating in a world where effort is respected. The sense of control is calming. It's not escapism in the sense of avoidance, it's engagement in a space where actions actually feel like they really matter. And in multiplayer games especially, grinding contributes to status and identity. High levels, rare titles, cosmetic rewards, and optimized builds all communicate dedication and experience to other players that are in the same world. Even in single player contexts, grinding reinforces the personal narrative. This is the kind of player that I am. Persistent, prepared, thorough, good, evil, whatever that might be. The grind becomes part of the self-expression, not just progression. And the curious thing, and like I touched upon previously, once players have invested a significant amount of time, stopping feels costly. This isn't purely sunk cost fallacy, although there is a little bit of that too. It's also about momentum. Your character is stronger, your goals are clearer, your next reward is closer than when you started. Grinding turns time itself into a resource that kind of compounds on itself. Each session makes the next one more effective, and so that makes you want to keep going. That being said, not all grinding is enjoyable, and I think there are moments when it fails. And in my opinion, it stops working when progress is too slow or unclear. That is, you're not really sure what kind of progress you're making. Rewards feel disconnected from the effort, so you're not really feeling like you're making it worth your time. The activity lacks feedback, meaning you do something and you're not necessarily aware of how that's going or how it's progressing, how it's coming along. And the goal feels meaningless. Then you might be doing something for the sake of doing it. There might not be something cool at the end or a reward. Good grinding respects the player's time, even when it demands a lot of it. And that might seem like a contradiction, but think about it for a moment. To wrap things up, I think we enjoy grinding because it delivers something rare, clear effort, clear progress, and meaningful control. It satisfies that deep psychological need for competence, for mastery, for predictability, while offering just enough uncertainty to stay engaging. Grinding isn't the absence of fun, as a lot of people think it is, it's a specific form of it. One rooted in repetition, growth, and the quiet pleasure of watching numbers rise because you made them rise. Bigger number, better person. And sometimes that's exactly what the brain needs. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to know what yours are down below, so let me know in the comments. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. It really helps us goblins. And I'll see you guys in the next video where we do another silly song. Yes, I know. As if you haven't had enough of them.